Hey homies, it's Carrie, your horticulture homegirl, and I am back for another video. First, I want to say thank you to everybody who has given me feedback about what would be helpful and what they would like to see. And overwhelmingly, it's been a starter kit. What are the easiest plants to begin with, and also what are the best tools? So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to start with the simplest plants and then the perfect little starter kit so that you'll have everything you need for a healthy and happy relationship with your new plant babies. So first, plants. A thing about me is I have had several jobs, but my two favorite and closest to my heart have been education and fitness and personal training. And I say that to say that the biggest thing for me is self-efficacy. And that is anyone that I teach or help, I want them to feel at the end that they can be successful on their own. So the plants that I show you today are ones that I am confident that you will feel successful in raising and keeping them healthy. So I have a couple here, a few options. I am actually going to start with the plants that fall in the category of ground cover. And essentially, ground cover are the plants that you would typically put outside to kind of fill in those empty spaces in between your outdoor plants and flowers. Little secret about indoor plant care and house plants. Unfortunately, it is not free from the claws of capitalism. And a lot of stuff is kind of higher priced and sold under the guise of being exotic. But I have a little secret for you. It's a scam. Buy whatever you think is beautiful, and please do not go out and blow a ton of money to feel like you can have beautiful plants in your home. So we're going to start with ground cover first, and I have two that I absolutely love and are so easy. So first we have Periwinkle. Look how beautiful. And yes, in very bright light, she will have little purple flowers. She will bloom a little bit, but guess what? If she never blooms, still super healthy. And you have this beautiful vining plant. You can hang up. I usually let her hang down the side of the table. So easy, so lush and full. I think there are actually, I'm trying to dig in, I think 3 plants in here that were probably about like $3 a piece, or you know how you can buy those little cluster sets. I got these from a farmer's market where you can kind of pick and choose ground cover. So easy, so beautiful. People ask, what is that exotic plant? It's just periwinkle, ground cover, beautiful, easy to keep. Another one that would fall in that ground cover category is actually a type of succulent, and this is my ice plant. A type of succulent, so that means the less water, the better. She likes to be ignored. Another one that will give you beautiful, this one had hot pink flowers, but I've seen orange, yellow, and red ice plants. Again, buy a couple, put them in a pot. You have these beautiful vines that just grow and grow and grow. And again, she thrives on being ignored. So an ice plant, another one that would fall in ground cover and be in that outdoor section, but does fantastic indoor. So those are two great, easy and cheap ground cover plants. So check the outdoor section of your nursery or hardware store, wherever you go. Both of these were super inexpensive. Buy a couple and that'll give you that fullness that you like. So periwinkle and an ice plant. Since we are in the succulent family, I'm going to give you 3. Succulent in general just means thick and juicy leaves. The less water, the better. They don't need a lot of attention. Like some sun, little bit of water, leave them alone. They're beautiful. So this one is a jade plant, and she's so cute and pretty. I've actually seen people turn these into bonsai trees. They just let them stem up. Succulents in general will trail the direction of the sun, so you might want to give them just a little twist if you want them to grow evenly. But I remember this one in particular was so tiny. Started in actually, I want to say like a succulent garden that I purchased a few things together, and got so big that now she's hanging out on her own. Beautiful and easy. This one, Gollum Fingers, another succulent, and you see this one is actually starting to make that tree-like branch. Started teeny tiny, like a little handful of a plant, and as you can see now, huge and massive, doesn't like a lot of water. Put it in the sun, rotate it, easiest plant ever, very hard to kill, super fun, especially if you have kids. The whole Gollum finger things, I'm sure they'll enjoy, and it's just fun to look at. So that's another one. And then I'm going to give you two more, and then we're going to move on to tools. So this beauty is a little jade peperomia, and you can see already growing its own more branches. Key here is don't over water. A little bit of water, let her dry out completely, and you will get years and years of beauty from this type of peperomia. Also easy to propagate, as you saw in the previous video. Give her a snip, put in some water, and you'll have peperomia as long as you want to, and gifts for friends. So, peperomia. Easy, 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 easy. And the last one, oh, she has a little name tag on, is this beautiful, oh, that was my mic, is this beautiful pothos. And again, easy to grow, easy to propagate. The more sun she gets, the more you'll get those flashes of variegation, and that just means the variation in color there. But even if she's not in a lot of light, she'll thrive and just be darker. This is probably my go-to suggestion when anybody asks me how to get a lot of bang for your buck, how to have a lot of drama. If you want just beautiful, exotic drama, go with a golden pothos. There are several different options, but this one tends to be the easiest, I think. So easy, no stress. So there you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 starter plants that I guarantee you can grow on your own. They're going to be healthy and beautiful, easy peasy, great starters. So again, we have golden pothos, we have jade peperomia, we have a jade plant succulent, we had, get out of here, cord, we had our Gollum Fingers succulent. Let me put this big girl down. Then we had our Periwinkle, beautiful vining Periwinkle, and our super cute ice plant. Easy, inexpensive plants that I know you can grow and keep healthy. So now we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we are going to talk about tools. The tools of the trade, the starter kit. Most of these things are actually household items that I'm sure you have just laying around, super easy. So I'm actually going to go and start with this little basket. This is one of those shower caddies that you see everywhere. Got this on clearance around like back to school time. This is a dorm room staple. So get one of these babies and you can store most of your items in there. So I'm going to try to make it make sense. So the first thing that I suggest, gloves. I like digging in the dirt and in the soil, but there are some plants and some potting soil that just make my hands feel not great. And actually in a houseplant group that I'm a part of, someone else mentioned it. So that seems to be a common issue. Whether you have allergies or eczema or just sensitive skin, gloves are great tools. So I just have a little baggie of gloves that I keep in here. I also keep some extra trash bags. So when you're doing clippings, when you're doing sweeping up any dirt, just have some trash bags handy, so then you're not tracking dirt further into the house, like into the kitchen or wherever you go. So keep those handy. One of my favorite things ever, this beautiful gardening tape, and it's actually Velcro, and you see it just tears. It's super easy and it's reusable. Sustainability, we care about that. And this is great, especially with that pothos that I was talking about, if you want to train it to trail. I don't know if you guys can see, but back here on this stake, it's great for tying things back if you want them to trail. Also, as certain plants get longer and you need to stake them just to hold them up and together, this stuff is great, super cheap. So that's always in my kit as well. I'm going to put these together. Scissors and something to sterilize with. Of course, you can use garden shears. Most of my plants have pretty thin stems where a nice sharp pair of kitchen shears is fine. Always sanitize in between cuttings. You never know, especially if you're dealing with a plant that may have had some insects or some type of fungus or anything like that. So you always want to clean, spritz, or just some plain rubbing alcohol, but always something to sanitize. So this is just some all natural Trader Joe's hand sanitizer or some rubbing alcohol and some nice shears. So there's that. All right, now we're gonna get into kitchen stuff. I always just keep some plastic spoons and a scoop, whether it's for scooping potting soil or perlite, which I will get into in a little bit. These things are always handy, and then you can just rinse them off so you're not actually like washing dishes and all of that. I like to separate things that I use specifically for plants. So just an assortment of spoons and a little measuring cup. Great for scooping and such and that stuff. We'll move that. Oh, another thing that falls into that is a toothbrush. This is just for plants, obviously, but I have oh no. See, this is real life. It's gotten wet a few times, but it's old. So right at the dollar store, grab yourself a little dollar store like makeup blush brush and a toothbrush. These are great for cleaning off your leaves or applying diatomaceous earth. We'll talk about that in a second, but great for getting dust or anything off your leaves. I use this for kind of hardier and thicker leaves and to kind of get into nooks and crannies, and then this for just getting dust off the top layer of my plant. So a toothbrush and a little powdery blush brush. Sheesh, that was harder than it needs to be. Not necessary, but super helpful, especially for us visually impaired folks. A magnifying glass. It's great. I even sometimes take this with me when I am choosing a plant to take home. It's great for really seeing itty bitty pests. Unfortunately, the little friends that like to live on house plants can be exceptionally small. So a magnifying glass or even the zoom option on your camera is great for that. You really want to get in there and check. The best way to kind of deal with pests is to try your best not to bring them in your home in the first place and choose really healthy plants. That stuff is, I have several different types of fertilizers here, but you know what? The classic blue stuff, it's typically Miracle Grow. I heavily dilute this, so I use about a third or a quarter of what's recommended. Just on occasion when I'm watering, we can do a whole video about fertilization and all of that, but fertilizer / plant food, great to just have in your arsenal, especially as your plants get a little older, or if you move them up in a pot from a really tiny nursery pot. After a while, the nutrients in that soil simply gets used up and washed away with watering. So just a great, simple, handy dandy, I like the dissolve in water stuff, heavily diluted fertilizer. The last thing is a spray bottle. I use this little mister and I filled it with all types of things. Neem oil, which you can purchase at a plant store or even at your local organic market. I've used this for neem oil and water. I also use this for my soap mix, which is going to bring me to the holy grail, Dr. Bronner's Casio soap. I use peppermint because insects hate peppermint. But I will mix this in some water, give it a little spritz a rag and use this for my plant cleaning. Cleaning the leaves of your plants is great for pest prevention, but also removing the dust really optimizes your plant's ability to photosynthesize. It's got to get those sun rays. So, Dr. Bronner's, great for keeping your plants healthy and shiny and beautiful, heavily diluted. This stuff is concentrated. So I use a teeny tiny bit, lots of water, and in a spray bottle. So there's that. Speaking of keeping things clean and tidy, rag bag. These are super easy to find. You can order them online. So cheap, reusable, easy to clean. Just put them in the washing machine with just bleach and hot water. That's all I use. But again, great for cleaning your plants and your plant area. Being a plant parent, especially once you start to develop a little jungle, cleaning is so important for pest control and dust control. And if you live with others, to keep them happy as well, so that your plants don't seem too invasive. So I always just keep rags everywhere. Moving on, let's move this. Containers. I have these old, again, you can typically get them from the dollar store, these little disposable baking pans, plastic bowls. I'm always mixing something, clipping something. So these are everything from bowls to mix soil to temporary trash cans. I sit plants in here to water them, to catch extra water. I'm always using these things. So I cannot suggest enough just to designate some old pans or old bowls just to your plant care. And speaking of watering, dollar store, cheapy plants and plant trays. You don't want to ruin your floor. If you live in an apartment, you want your security deposit back. So lots of plant trays. As you can see, I have them in every shape and size. I don't leave my plants in them. Always drain them. You don't want to encourage bacteria or fungus or pests. Plant trays, plant trays, plant trays. I have so many. Love them. Moving right along, since we're on the cleanliness thing, a tarp. This one I think is 6 feet by 9 feet. Got it at the hardware store, $6 and some change. A tarp. It's great. You can roll it up and shake things in the garbage when you make a mess. A tarp. Save yourself a lot of trouble. Get a tarp. Got that. And then a few things that I love. First, Perlite. I put it in a little bag. I have a massive bag of Perlite because I use it so much. Perlite is essentially your draining agent in your soil. The number one cause that I can see of people losing their plants is overwatering and soil that simply doesn't drain. Get yourself some Perlite. Mix it in. Then that comes to potting soil. Keep your own potting soil around. Then you can make your own potting mix. I usually keep several types of potting soil, several types of soil. My top two, potting soil and cactus mix. Cactus mix is very light and fluffy and well draining. Potting soil is a little more dense, nutrient heavy, and then your Perlite. So that's how you mix. That's why you have your bowl. And that's why you have your spoons. See, it all comes together. So always keep your own. The soil that comes in your nursery pots is usually a-okay, but just in case, have your own soil. It is a pain in the butt to realize you need to repot something, or you have some critters, or you have some root rot and you have no potting soil. So now you're just stuck with your choices. So have some on hand. Another thing that I love as a drainage medium, river rocks. These are super dusty because they've been well loved. I sit pots on them to encourage humidity. So you can put some Rocks in a pan, sit a pot on top, sit a plant on top, put it in the sun. It's a nice little sauna situation. It also helps if you want to mix some in for drainage. There's a million uses, but I love just to have some river rocks around. You can get them from outside, of course, or you can buy a container of them. They're pretty inexpensive. And we are going to go to nursery pots. I know they are not pretty, and our inclination is to get our plants home and immediately repot them. First, pump your brakes. Your plants can usually live in nursery pots for quite some time, but when it is time to repot them, keep these. This is a great starter pot for a little propagation, or eventually one of your babies is going to become a big mama and need a bigger pot. These things always have excellent drainage holes. They're super lightweight and easy to move around. So keep them. Keep your nursery pots. You don't have to keep every one, but I like to keep an assortment of small, medium, and kind of this large and extra large nursery pots. So don't be so quick to throw them away. And sustainable, because we're reusing them instead of chucking them out the door immediately. And last, speaking of recycling, I do not own a watering can. I have a little thrift store like lemonade pitcher, but for the most part, these gallon jugs make the perfect watering vessels. I love them. The top is wide enough where I can scoop my fertilizer right in, put the lid on, give it a little shimmy shake, and you have the perfect water container. Water pitchers and misters and all that are fun, but again, as your home girl, it is my job to show you that you can be cheap and cheerful and have a wonderful plant collection as well. And then, since I have mentioned critters, can't live without it, diatomaceous earth. This is all natural. Essentially, it's a type of rock that's been crushed down, and what it does is when insects, including fungus gnats, walk through it, it kind of chops them up so that they can't live or fly anymore. Sounds awful, but it works very quickly. So you can sprinkle this. I sprinkle this on the top layer of soil. I know that there are some that dust it on their plants. You can also purchase a little squeeze duster, which I don't have, but that's the suggested way to do it. But for me, what's been really effective is simply sprinkling a little tiny bit on the top layer of soil, and even going back, using that spoon to kind of just spread it and mix it around. I do recommend wearing a face mask. We all have plenty of those lying around. Wearing a face mask, or even some goggles or your eyeglasses if you have sensitive eyes, just because it's super powdery. It's super, super powdery. But this has been kind of my holy grail. This and Mosquito Bits, which, funny enough, I do not have. I've used the last little bit. Mosquito Bits come in like a gallon-like jug with a bright red top. You can get them online or at your home improvement store. Essentially, they look like grape nuts, the cereal. Don't eat them, but they look just like grape nuts. So they're these little brownish little pebbly rock looking things. Go and buy those. Another great tool to help with pest control. But so far, diatomaceous earth has been, I think, the quickest, cleanest, because you just vacuum up any extra that I've noticed. So highly recommended, diatomaceous earth. So that's it. That's the starter kit. You now have the plants and the tools to start a fabulous houseplant journey. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments. Please do me a big favor and like and subscribe. I really love sharing this information with you guys. Of course, be well, and I love you all, and I'll see you next time. Bye.